The raid on Charlottetown, which occurred in the fall of 1775, is a lesser-known but significant event during the American Revolution. It was part of a larger American strategy to challenge British control in Canada and expand the reach of the Revolution into British-held territories. The raid targeted Charlottetown, the capital of Prince Edward Island, which was a British stronghold in the region at the time. Background and context. In 1775, the American colonies were embroiled in the early stages of the Revolution, seeking to break free from British rule. As part of their efforts, the Continental Congress had authorized military actions beyond the borders of the 13 colonies, aiming to rally Canadian support for the revolutionary cause and weaken British influence in North America. The American forces had already attempted an invasion of Canada in the fall of 1775, under the leadership of Benedict Arnold and Richard Montgomery. The goal was to encourage French-Canadian support for the Revolution and possibly annex the territory. While the invasion of Quebec ultimately failed, the Americans believed that actions in smaller towns such as Charlottetown could help stir up rebellion and disrupt British operations in the region. The raid on Charlottetown. In the late summer of 1775, American forces led by Captain Joseph Robinson launched a surprise raid on Charlottetown, the main settlement on Prince Edward Island. Robinson's mission was to seize British supplies, weaken the British hold on the region, and gain momentum for the broader cause of independence. The plan also aimed to disrupt British shipping routes in the area, which were vital for supplying British forces in Canada. Robinson, along with a small contingent of Continental soldiers, sailed from the American-controlled colonies to the shores of Prince Edward Island. They arrived in the dark of night, catching the town off guard. The raid targeted key British outposts and military supplies, with the goal of destabilizing British operations in the region. However, the attack faced immediate difficulties. Due to the small size of the raiding party and the swift response of British authorities in Charlottetown, the raid ultimately failed to achieve its primary objectives. The American forces encountered resistance from local British forces and were unable to seize critical military stores. Faced with limited manpower and a lack of support from local populations, Robinson and his men were forced to withdraw from the town after only a brief confrontation. Aftermath and significance. Although the raid on Charlottetown was a failure for the American forces, it did have some strategic consequences. The British response to the raid reinforced their presence in the region, and the failure to capture supplies or gain local support set back the Americans' efforts to establish a foothold in Canada. The lack of success in Charlottetown, combined with other failed attempts in Quebec, led the Continental Army to abandon its broader efforts to expand into Canada in 1776. The raid also highlighted the difficulties faced by the Continental Army in conducting operations beyond the 13 colonies. The logistical challenges of supply, terrain, and communication, along with a lack of local support, made it difficult for the American forces to sustain a long-term military presence in Canada. In particular, the British in Canada had the support of loyalist militias and local governments that were hostile to the idea of American independence. While the raid on Charlottetown was a small-scale operation, it was part of the larger pattern of American attempts to strike at British holdings in the North. It was a reflection of the ambitious, yet often faltering American strategy to spread revolution beyond the colonial borders. Conclusion. The raid on Charlottetown serves as a reminder of the complex and multifaceted nature of the American Revolution. It was an early attempt to challenge British control in Canada, but it also underscored the challenges faced by the Continental Army in projecting power beyond the 13 colonies. While the raid was unsuccessful in its immediate goals, it contributed to the larger narrative of the American Revolution, an effort marked by boldness, setbacks, and the ongoing struggle for independence. Ultimately, the failure to gain support in Canada and the difficulties faced in Charlottetown helped shape the course of the Revolution, prompting the Continental Army to focus its efforts on the conflicts closer to home, especially in the 13 colonies.